much your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the flaming hot grilled cheese burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
How's your day going?
Going good, thank you, yes.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Bronco Nation will not score. Jackson pours. Each game I score a touchdown. Head to Jackson's on Monday for a 49-cent fountain drink with Let's Go rewards. And don't forget your free banana, Jackson's. Let's go.
It's the all-wheel drive event at Lithia Ford of Boise. From hunting trips to ski trips to trips to Grandma's house. Nobody does AWD like LFB. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange store. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, last night, Idaho Falls, Idaho, the Boise State men's basketball team. No foul, says Kip Kissinger. He fell down. The Broncos on the right side of a no call, and Boise State picks up a season-changing win at St. Mary's, against St. Mary's in Idaho Falls last night. What a win for the Broncos. 2 quad one wins, and the Broncos, some excitement, some confidence as they head into conference play. How are we doing, folks? My name is BJ Rains. Brad Bedell is going to be joining along shortly, and we'll have plenty of football to get to. What went wrong in LA? Where do the Broncos go from here? and what does their offseason look like in terms of any changes. We got all week to kind of dissect this football program, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll do that with Brad Bedell coming up on Bronco Nation News. But I wanted to start the show, the first 5-10 minutes, talking basketball. They won. They deserve the headline. Like I said, most of the show will be football, but I think basketball deserves the first 5 minutes here because that was a heck of a win last night at St. Mary's. And I keep saying at St. Mary's. It felt like it was at St. Mary's because I was traveling back all day yesterday. It was in Idaho Falls against St. Mary's. Sorry, I'm going on not a lot of sleep again, but and a little flustered. Got a ton going on this morning. Cool announcement, by the way. I'll make it before Brad comes on here in about 5-10 minutes for Mountain West basketball fans. I'm excited for that today. But Boise State gets a second quad one win. I have not checked the net rankings. Let's update the net rankings in real time here. I don't think it'll move much because they're only projected to win by 1. But Boise State in the net rankings up to 39. 39 in the net rankings for Boise State, a 5-spot jump. And the Broncos now 2-2 in quad 1. And according to the net, perfect in quadrants 2, 3, and 4. They do have the 1-1 record that shows there in the non-Division I games. And I bet you to find a team that lost to a non-Division I game, you'd have to go all the way down. And I'm still scrolling here. And I'm at 170, 180. I don't know how many other Division I teams have lost to Division II teams. Have there been any? The next highest team that lost to a Division II team, there it is, Western Michigan. They're number 270 in the net. 270 Western Michigan is how far you have to go to find another team that lost to a non-Division I. So not ideal that that's going to be on there all year, but also 2 quad 1 wins and now up to 39th in the net rankings for Boise State. Just a continued rise after that first game. What an impressive non-conference season it was. 8-3 goes the non-conference record. The Broncos 2 quad 1 wins, as I said, and now get ready for conference play. But last night, you start the game up 13-0. I know you guys had some trouble seeing it with the stream. I was told the stream was not the highest of quality. But again, I don't blame Boise State for that. They did the best they could, getting it going when they could and broadcasting it and doing what they could. They did not get to control any of the replays or the camera angles. That was a feed sent to them by the arena. And so I saw Boise State taking some shrapnel on there. And believe me, I'm maybe the first to criticize when it's necessary for Boise State, but I didn't think that was kind of their fault last night. Wasn't their fault that Fox or CBS or whoever wanted to air the game. They didn't want to compete with the NFL. And so that left them with not a lot of options and didn't make a ton of sense to bring over a production truck and pay, $100,000 or whatever to make it a full broadcast. They just took the feed they were given from the arena. Wasn't the greatest feed, but they did the best they could. And you guys were at least able to see it a little bit. But Boise State basketball, big time win. The Broncos going into conference play. And I've seen a lot of talk in the chat after the game last night, in the chat this morning about, Leon Rice and his use of the transfer portal. Look, you want to go find some impact players for the football team? Take a look at how the basketball team did it. They stepped up. Drew Fielder, their highest paid player on the team. They went in the transfer portal to pay their highest paid player on the team. And I think Mike Prater has said $500,000 or something for Drew Fielder. And he's producing. I mean, you look at what he is doing this season for Boise State. He has stepped up in a huge way. And I get it. It's different with, 15 players on a roster as opposed to 100. How you balance the budget, how you do all that is certainly different in basketball compared to football. I 100% understand that. It's not apples to apples, but Leon Rice is not afraid to go and get impact players in the portal and pay them more maybe than current players and not have that dynamic be an issue or be a problem. And he went out and got a big-time player in Drew Fielder, and you look up, and here he is, Boise State's leading scorer, 14.4 points per game, leading rebounder, 5.5 rebounds per game, and Drew Fielder last night stepped up with a massive game, 22.6 rebounds to help Boise State win that game last night, and this looks like a team that's going to be fun to watch. I know it's a shame that some of you guys, gave up after the first game of the season, but this is a fun team to watch. and they're doing what Leon Rice teams do. They just get better as the season goes on, and I think the non-con was a success, and now they go into conference play, kind of a tricky first conference game in Reno on Saturday. But if you can win the game in Reno, it'd be another big win, and then get your holiday break. Big pay cut according to his dad. I was told that as well. He was set to make more money at USC, but just had a change of heart, and he told us on the post-game show, had that late change of heart, that flip, and he said he wakes up every day thinking that. And yes, you did hear that correctly. That is what Mike Prater's reported, and I believe that is true. Drew Fielder, the highest paid player on the team, and he's the leading scorer right now and the leading rebounder, so that kind of makes sense. But the ability to go into the portal, find a starting player from Georgetown, and you can say what you want about Dylan Andrews. He's had an up and down year, but he's been big in some games. He had 20-something points in the NC State game. Turns the ball over a little too much, and maybe hasn't shot it great, but I think Dylan Andrews is still a quality Mountain West point guard. You pluck him out of the portal after starting 2 years at UCLA. You bring in Drew Fielder from Georgetown. I mean, two starters out of the transfer portal that you paid good money to and beat other big schools to have. So it's not the same as football. I understand that. But I will just say, if you look at the way Leon Rice has built this roster and continue to get resources and continue to build and improve, I'll say this for Leon Rice. You guys folks want to rip on him. He never wins a big game, whatever, but very rarely do they have just a complete dud of a season. They've had occasionally. They had one, 4 or 5 years ago where just everything didn't go their way. But pretty much every year, a Leon Rice team is going to be in contention, be a top upper third of the Mountain West, and give you exciting basketball most nights. And I would just say the football team, they've had some 4 and 5 loss seasons here of late, right? It's been an up and down thing. You're in the playoff one year, you lose 5 games the next, and maybe you'll take that trade-off. Maybe you'll take getting to the playoff, having that, 1 or 2 loss season, and maybe you take that trade-off if it means having to have a 4 or 5 loss season. But something needs to be said about the consistency of this basketball program. And I think that gets lost sometimes when the haters want to come in after a Hawaii Pacific game or want to come in and say they're 0-10 in the NCAA tournament, or I'll come back and check in March. You look at the consistency that a Leon Rice program has had. You know that you're going to have a 20-plus win season, a team that's going to be competitive, fun to watch, and I think there's something to be said for that. And that's kind of why I've always maybe been a defender of Leon Rice, and some have always kind of, kind of gotten on me for that at times. But I think it's kind of showing now that here you go. Another season started off horribly, but guess what? The coaches know what they're doing. The players know what they're doing. And here they are going into conference play, really exciting and a fun team to watch. And pretty much every year, you're going to get, a quality team that's going to be in the mix moving forward here. And so I think that the basketball program is as consistent as it gets. It should be praised and modeled after. And I understand, yes, they haven't won an NCAA tournament game. Some of you're not really going to get invested until March and until that first win happens. I totally understand that. But I think that if you kind of take a step back, and especially after last night's win, I think you realize that you've been pretty darn lucky to have a basketball team that's been as consistent as it's been. And like I said, maybe they haven't had the highs of the highs like the Fiesta Bowls, but they haven't had too many 5 loss seasons. The bottom that you're feeling right now of this football team losing 5 games, and some of the years they've had, with Andy and some of the previous 5 loss seasons, you haven't had that very often. There's been 1 or 2 seasons out of 15 from Leon, but for the most part, you're going to be a competitive team, and you're going to win a lot of games moving forward here. And you're going to have a fun team that's fun to watch. And like I said, this is an exciting team. It's a fun team. And the roster they've built, I think, is one that, you're going to like to watch. And I think it's one that's going to keep getting better and better as the season goes on. And Drew Fielder, again, last night, 22 points for him. And Boise State finds a way to get the win. 2 quad 1 wins. They're 8-3 going into conference play. And how about this? I've been telling you guys that I want to expand. I'm always looking to kind of push the bar with BNN and what's next, as Jeremiah Dickey said. And I've had for a while the thought of kind of expanding BNN to covering more than just Boise State, or at least having an option for folks that want more than just Boise State coverage. And on the basketball side, I think there's a lot of passionate fans around the Mountain West. And I think that you guys also are interested in other teams around the Mountain West. And so obviously 98.9% of our coverage is going to still be Boise State moving forward. But I am pleased to announce that we are starting a new basketball show on Bronco Nation News, and it is going to be called Another Night in the Mountain West, and Tom Moser is going to be the host. We've hired Tom Moser. If you like him on Mountain West Twitter, and does a great job with his podcast and very knowledgeable on the Mountain West. And we've had our issues at times. We've gotten into it for fun on social and stuff, but I've gotten to know him over the last few months. We've been talking about this, and he does a tremendous job covering Mountain West basketball. And we have hired Tom Moser, and he is going to host a show on Bronco Nation News. We're also going to be starting another YouTube channel where we'll be putting more of the Mountain West centered content on. And so we'll keep it on BNN as well, but we're going to have a separate channel starting for Mountain West coverage, basketball, football. This will transition into the Pac-12 next year. We got a lot of big plans for this. But every single night there's a Mountain West basketball game. When the final game of the night ends, Tom Moser is going to fire up a show, and he's going to talk about the games. We're going to try to get players and coaches on from some of the teams that played, and we're going to really blow this thing up and cover Mountain West basketball from all angles. And as I said, next year this will transition into the Pac-12, but we're in the Mountain West right now, and that's what it's going to be. So Tom Moser, if you don't know him, you're going to love him when you start to hear him. Very knowledgeable talking Mountain West basketball. We got some big plans for this show. The first show will be Wednesday night because we have a Mountain West Conference game on Wednesday night. San Diego State is hosting Air Force. So San Diego State hosts Air Force on Wednesday. When the game ends, we'll fire up another night in the Mountain West. I'll be on the debut episode with Tom, but Tom's going to host this show himself. We're going to get players, coaches. Jeff Grammer's going to jump on. Mark Ziegler, I'll be on. Nathan will pop on. We'll get, writers from the league, players, coaches. But if you've ever watched kind of the Field of 68 wrap-up show at the end of the night, our goal is to kind of make this a nightly Mountain West show. So any night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, if there's a Mountain West game, Tom's going to have a show at the end of the night, another night in the Mountain West, talking all Mountain West basketball. And this is hosted by Tom Moser. And again, we are going to start another channel on BNN that will host most of our Mountain West coverage moving forward. But still going to primarily be Boise State, obviously, but we are going to try to expand a little bit and cover and get some other fan bases engaged in this in the Mountain West. And so we are excited for this. And this will just go till the end of Mountain West basketball season. And then, as I said, we'll transition into Pac-12 after that, and hopefully have a football version, a basketball version. But again, Wednesday night is the debut episode. Don't miss it. It'll be starting just minutes after the final game, and that'll be Wednesday with San Diego State and Air Force. All right, big win for the basketball team. Obviously excited to follow them moving forward. Conference play gets going on Saturday. They'll be in Reno. But obviously the main storyline is the football team and what happened in Los Angeles. Certainly a debacle of a game over in LA. They get blown out. Bigger questions about the quarterback position, other spots on the roster, coaching, a ton of discussions. So Brad Bedell is going to join us in just a second to talk football. I do want to thank Sun Cruiser, our studio sponsor. Don't forget, all December, take a picture of yourself having a Sun Cruiser, send it to us on social media, tag us, and we will do a drawing at the end of the month to give away a prize pack from Sun Cruiser. Love Sun Cruisers, the iced tea vodkas. They have the lemonade vodkas as well. Delicious stuff. Check them out at your local gas station or grocery store. Appreciate Sun Cruiser, and start sending us some of those pictures. Hey, rowpaint.com, ROEpaint.com. Andy Rowe, 20% off your winter painting projects with rowpaint.com. Check them out. Rowpaint.com. Andy Rowe and Company, 20% off your winter painting projects, interior, exterior paintings, concrete coatings. They got you covered at rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. They're back for another year with BNN. We appreciate them. You can check out Idaho Central Credit Union. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is, of course, that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Check out Idaho Central Credit Union. They're back on board as a sponsor at Boise State, and we appreciate them. Check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union. Don't forget, today you can get that 49-cent fountain drink the final time in honor of Latrell Caples. He didn't score, but that's okay. Jackson's is honoring it anyway. A 49-cent fountain drink. We'll alert them, Brad, that Rid's going to be there about 5 times today, I think. But a 49-cent fountain drink for Latrell Caples today. last time they're doing this deal, and maybe he didn't have the season that he wanted, but they want to honor Latrell for his career at Boise State and his relationship with Jackson. So get over today to Jackson's 49-cent any size fountain drink from our friends at Jackson's. And we want to thank Taco Bell as well. TacoBellWorks.com. You can get those breakfast quesadillas, all the great options, the new crispy chicken strips. And we appreciate the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. When the Broncos score 83, any home game the rest of the season, when the basketball team scores 83, you can take your ticket stub the next day to our friends at Taco Bell, and you can get a free taco the next day at Taco Bell after the Broncos score 83 points. All right, you know them, you love them. Brad Bedell joins us here on Bronco Nation News. Brad, I know you're in between meetings and things. We appreciate you. Hopefully you're pulled over at least, not driving while you're doing this, but appreciate you. And obviously a lot to talk about with the game, the season. The fans are not excited about a 5-loss season around here, Brad, as you well know. And going to be an interesting, week here, kind of breaking this thing down, but then interesting month of January in the portal and roster and to see what this thing looks like moving forward. But unfortunately, the game didn't go well. And in a lot of areas, it only added bigger questions and uncertainty, I guess, about some key spots moving forward.
Yeah, it was not good. I mean, what was that saying? Mom used to say there'd be days like this. Well, that felt like, there was just one of those days. It just, I mean, I don't know. They didn't turnovers, 58 yards rushing, averaging 2.1 yards a carry. It's kind of was the, big plays by the quarterback for Washington. So it's kind of what everything that needed to happen didn't go Boise's way. And the outcome is kind of what you would think if you didn't run the ball effectively. And the last thing they had to do is turn the ball over, and it just, everything went wrong. They went wrong, and it's a shame that nobody wants to end the season with a loss. It's the worst. So now you got an entire off season to think about it. So it's time to regroup, and the finals are coming up. Players got to have meetings with Spencer, and who's getting in the portal, who's not. Where are we doing? What's the NIL look like, and how they're going to build the roster and see. Essentially, your roster should be set by the end. Was it January 16th, right? That's when the portal closes, and you got 24 hours to retract your name and things like that. But the roster should be set here by the end of January.
Yeah, and do you expect significant changes to that roster, Brad, whether it's additions, whether it's guys, leaving? Do you expect them to try to run it mostly back with the same group? Roster retention has been a big thing for Spencer. They have not lost, obviously, guys they've wanted to keep, key significant players. They've had very few enter the transfer portal. Andrew Simpson, a linebacker, left. Prince Strawn, a receiver, left. They've had a couple guys leave over the years, but for the most part, and we can go back to Taylor Green, whatever, if you want to go back to, that was a whole different deal, just how they didn't, but just in general, they've kept most of the talent they've wanted to keep the last couple of the years. Do you expect that to be the same? Do you see them making bigger changes to the roster? And then I guess from the same token, do you think that there's a chance they go out and make some, significant additions in the portal, or are they more doing what they've kind of done in the past where you're getting a third string back or an edge guy that, is a rotational guy, or what do you think they're going to be looking to add as well?
I think right now, they've lost Schmidt, right? The tackle. So
yep,
he's going in.
Yep.
Which
this year didn't matter much because he was hurt all year, but he did start.
No, I agree.
12 games last year.
But it matters because of depth purposes and competing to start. So, that's a situation where do they get into the room and go, okay, we're losing this person to the portal, that person to the portal, and things like that. I would replace portal with portal, right? So you need obviously you need an offensive tackle with some experience. And so you just got to figure that out. I just think that it's hard to, if you're going to lose a sophomore or a junior or something like that, to replace it with a freshman. If the opportunity presents itself, they're going to dig into the portal and look at what's available, right? And when you look at what's available, there's a lot of things that are going to go into that. Monetary value, things like that. Can they get the deal done? I think that I would not be shocked if they're not looking at everybody in the portal, but I think there's going to be some key positions that are going to need some portal help. I wouldn't be surprised if an offensive lineman came in. because they've lost one. They're losing a few, mainly the left tackle. The Cox played pretty decent. He had his ups and downs, but there's something to work with there. So I would think that would be a position. Other position I wouldn't be shocked to see is wide receiver. See what's going on there. And then they got to make a decision and look at who's in the portal at quarterback and what they want to do with that. It's pretty hard right now. Look at TCU. I just read an article this morning that they're trying to raise over $2 million to keep the quarterback at TCU. That could be right, could be wrong. Who knows? It was an article by somebody that may know something, may not. They're just trying to get speculation out there. But you got some quarterbacks out there that are hitting the portal are going to be $2.5-3 million men. So I think you have to look at that and what you're going to bring in through the portal going to help you win. In my opinion, that's what the portal's for. It's not to sit here and get, a guy that is going to play 60 snaps in the course of a year, but you have to look at that and what's available monetarily compared to the talent you have at the position right now. If it's going to be a player that's going to come in and go, well, we're going to bring him in, but we don't think he's going to start. And, what's the value and things like that. That all has to be investigated here. And it's going to have to be quick because it opens up, I believe, January 2nd, something like that, 6th or something like that. So there's going to be some positions that they have to look at, and there's going to be some positions that they have to investigate. And that's looking at it is thinking we're going to be actively trying to find it. Investigate is we want to throw some feelers out because we don't know if we can afford it, essentially.
I think offensive line they have to go find a starter type player in the offensive line in the portal. I mean, they brought in Cade Beresford a couple years ago, transferred. You were at Auburn, but he was a starter at Washington State, comes over, or maybe started some, but not a ton, comes over, was a 2-year starter along the line and was a great addition. You've got to find a guy like that. And I just, you're losing Cage, as you said, you lose Hall Schmidt, Mason Randolph's gone. Carrion has a year left, but he's going to be an interesting guy for me. He's going to look around and go, oh, this ain't the room I signed up to be in. We heard about Braxton Feely kind of last year when he almost left, saying he looked around and it was all young guys and all of his buddies and friends had graduated. And so he had originally decided to go get a bag somewhere else and then came back. Roger Carrion, I would think comes back, but you never know in this portal era if he could go get paid as a multi-year starter at guard. Brad, and also is going to be a much different group there. So I think you got to try to keep Roger to anchor that line and then go piece it together. Holmes has done adequate at center. I would assume he'll be the center. Trying to think what his year is. I think he's back next year, but a lot of change on the offensive line. And is that a position that is fairly easy to identify a starter caliber player and go out and get in the portal?
Yeah, because there's a lot more of them. There's a lot of them. And there's been a high amount of success of offensive linemen, if you can believe this, mainly from the Ivy Leagues. The Ivy Leagues have produced some big-time offensive linemen. And I know they've gone to Penn State. They've gone to some really big schools and gone to do very well. So there's some really good old linemen you can get. But I think the portal window is very interesting because it's hard. So it's going to force some of these kids to make decisions, meaning this. Let's say you're sitting in the portal and the boys and Coach Keene comes after you, says, we want you. Okay, this is what we can offer you. Well, I'm kind of holding out because I've talked to, Penn State. I'll just use them as an example. Well, that young man's got to make a decision quickly because he can't sit there and let it drag out for a month. So he's got to pull the trigger. So there is no more flirting anymore. It's like, okay, I better take this before they move on to somewhere else. So it's almost like a fast forward window. That's why I would anticipate they're burning phones and trying to do whatever they can because you got to get in to some of these kids right now because that decision's quick. Quarterback, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there, but they're not probably all good enough to come in and win the job or something like that because your top 10 quarterbacks are going to go to big schools, right? And those guys have already been identified. I mean, some of these, I hate to tell you that some of these portal deals are done. They're done. They're just waiting. So they're going to say, oh, I'm going to get in the portal, and they will be signed, sealed, and delivered by January 2nd or the first day by 6 o'clock p.m. And they've got a new home and they've done well for themselves. So you got to kind of get through that first wave of the big schools that are going to pay, the SECs, the Big Tens, things like that. And then you got to re-identify and go, okay, who's going where? Okay, he's off the board. He's off the board. He's off the board. Okay, so here's our group. Reevaluate them. Let's get it done. So it's almost like a fast forward right now, where like last year it just drug out because they had forever. And then you got to also make sure, like right now, you're in the portal, and all of a sudden you contact a young man, and okay, what are his grades? Well, I got to get 6 A's to make sure I'm eligible. So there's a lot of things to this that they have to think about. So this is a very interesting time for that coaching staff to get in there and get portal deals done.
Yeah. No. Do you like the one window? Does that make it easier too? You're going to know by January 16th or whatever what you have?
I love it. I love it because you're not sitting there in July and you just got done with Dex, or you just got done with something, and you've lost 3 kids to the portal. So your roster is set going into spring ball. That's what's important here. Could you imagine? Waking up and all of a sudden you just lost 60% of the people that do shows and stuff like that because they wanted to go in the portal, and now I got to rehire everybody because the football season's coming up. It's just hard. I like the one window. I think it's going to be fast and furious. But this is where I think connection through recruiting through high school helps you. That's very important. A lot of these kids, they decided to go to take off to a Washington or an Oregon, and all of a sudden they're like, well, I want to get out of here. But you know what? Boise State recruited me, and I really like that staff. And I think that's important right now. I think a lot of those kids are going to come back to previously experienced communications with head football coaches or just coaching staffs in general.
That happens with basketball a lot. I've had basketball coaches, even on Boise State staff, when they lose out on a guy, say, that's okay. He'll be back here in a year or two.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
You don't get mad. You don't have sour grapes. You keep the relationship going. And in a year or two, when they're looking to transfer down or a different opportunity, that happened with Marcus Shaver, a starting point guard for Boise State. They lost him, the first couple of years. Then he decides to transfer. They kept the relationship going, and they got him back and had got his best 2 years as a starter and got him to the NCAA tournament.
Right. Obviously, I guarantee they did things the right way. But it's like, it's unbelievably, it's actually funny getting on X and saying, hey, they're renegotiating his contract to keep him. So that's an NFL style. So everybody's renegotiating contracts right now. South Carolina's quarterback, there's one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear he's making $3.5 million next year. It's just, you have to you got to get through that stuff. And then you got to figure out, is he a fit? And so it's going to be harder on the coaching staff to identify everybody, but I like the fact that the roster's set for spring ball. The cultures can continue to grow, get better, and now you know who you're coaching for the next season.
And you had to go twice. You had the two windows where you had to try to, a school in the Big Ten or SEC tries to get a Ty Benefield or whoever, it may be, or would have been last year, Cage Casey, whoever, they try in January. And if they don't get them, well, then they just wait 2 months and go talk to another booster and come back and up their offer in April.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And the other thing is, like, the coaches now, the new head coaches are on planes. Look at Tosh at Cal. That was the smartest thing he ever did. He literally got the job, took off to Hawaii to talk to the quarterback, bought a flight, met with him, flew back, did the press conference, things like that. And now he's announced he'd like to stay at Cal. So the current coaches are re-recruiting, the new coaches are re-recruiting their roster, and then you got to, okay, I'm staying. No, I'm leaving. I'm leaving, coach. This is not you're not who I signed with, so I'm leaving. And so I think you always got to go back to why important, like, who do we offer? Who do we want? They're in the portal. They know who we are. They know what we're about. They know what Boise State's about. Can we get them? You're going to find out real quick if all of a sudden they says, well, I can go to XYZ or X university for $750,000. Well, is that really in the realm? I don't know that. I don't know the situation NIL wise, but you got to pay somebody.
Unfortunately, Maddox Madsen's play didn't do anything to kind of quiet the battle, the discussion about the quarterback position moving forward, Brad, and what the plan should be there. I want to get your thoughts on the quarterback position here in just a second, but I want to thank Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game, the SpaTeam.com, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. Part of the Boise State home team. You're looking for that sauna, that spa. Check them out. They can help you out at Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. Lithia Ford of Boise, excited about some big news with Lithia Ford of Boise and BNN that we'll be telling you about here shortly. Lithia Ford of Boise, they got to get rid of some of these 2025s to make way for the 2026s on their lot. So that means F-150s, Escape, Explorer, Mach-E, Lightning, Transit vans, 0% APR financing for 60 months and 0 down. So it's incredible deals and offers right now. Take advantage of their end-of-the-year sale. Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out online at lithiafordboise.com. Hey, Matt Bauscher Real Estate. Number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. If you're ready to buy or sell your home, nobody will help you more than Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. We bought and sold our home using Matt. Tremendous experience, and we really appreciate Matt and his team. Bauscher Real Estate online, BauscherRealEstate.com. Hey, get that basketball gear. Basketball team's heating up right now. A couple big wins. Conference play is starting on Saturday, and you can get your Boise State basketball gear at the Blue and Orange Store online at theblueandorangestore.com. They got that Boise Town Square Mall location, the new location down there at the Allen Noble Hall of Fame, whether it's customized jerseys, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall, all kinds of options, great selections, great prices. The Blue and Orange Store online at theblueandorangestore.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop ridleys.com. You can download that Skip app, get savings up to 40% off on the checkout line. We appreciate Ridley's Family Markets. 13 locations in the state of Idaho, many more in surrounding states at shopridleys.com. Hey, if you want to get into the trucking industry, maybe you're looking for a new career change, how about Transportation Compliance Service? Transcompservice.com. You can get into the trucking industry, and they'll help you with the paperwork and everything you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Transportation Compliance Service online at transcompservice.com. Hey, Signature Roofing presents our voice inbox. You want to leave us a voicemail? Speakpipe.com/BNN. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, or an inspection, the official roofer of Bronco Nation News. Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. And again, leave us a voicemail. Speakpipe.com/BNN. All right, Brad, that we said on the pregame show, and we said at least, all last week, hey, if Maddox Madsen goes out there and plays really well, and it would kind of quiet the offseason maybe and change the narrative a little bit about Maddox Madsen as the starter for this team. And that obviously did not go well. I know he was kind of battling through an injury, but only 7 completions, 2 interceptions, gets pulled at halftime. What's your take on Maddox Madsen? What's your take on Max Cutforth? Are those two plus the incoming freshman good enough, as it sounds like Spencer Danielson, at least for now, thinks they are? Or is that coach speak and he's secretly trying to improve at that position in the portal? What's your big take on the quarterback position? Because I would say that's the one thing that has fans most, frustrated, curious about. Obviously, the quarterback's always going to be the big storyline on the team, Brad. But when it's not going well, and his history against Power 4 teams is not good as a quarterback. Boise State hasn't been good lately. They open the season at Oregon next year. What's your take on Maddox Madsen and his stance as the unequivocal starter? Is that the case, or should it be the case going into next season?
Well, first of all, pulled stuff, came out in the boot. So obviously there's a re-injury somewhere. No, I'm not here to say that. I wouldn't say that you can make it cut and dry that Maddox is your starting quarterback next year. I mean, it's, Cutwood did a good job. Obviously went in, did a really good job. He threw a couple picks the other day. It's just, it's an interesting room. Maddox is a good football player, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that. And I disagree with you right there. I think if Mad Dog went out and threw for 1,000 yards and they blew out Washington by 40, I still do not think Maddox has 100%. The fan base is not everybody's behind Maddox at Boise State. That's just the way it is. People have already judged him so far that he's done. Get him out. I disagree with that. I think the guy is a good football player. The room has 4 available right now. I don't know if they have the room for the portal. I don't have that answer for you. But I also am interested to see, there's got to be a competition. There's got to be a competition. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's a position right now that if you look course of the season, that it's going to have a great offseason and compete for the job. And I think Cudworth has developed. He's grown. And I think those are 2 they're good quarterbacks. The freshmen are freshmen. It's hard. It takes a special guy to come in and play as a freshman. I mean, Hank played as a freshman in Florida State. He got hit a lot, obviously, but he beat Florida State. So they have to be special and be ready. And that's what's going to be important there. Can I sit here and say, hey, they're going to go out and get a portal? No, I can't. I won't lie either and put sunshine on it. I can't. Do I think they absolutely have to? No, I do not think they do. I think they are in that realm of investigate and see what's out there. And we're also saying that Maddox, both of those quarterbacks, the older guys are coming back. We don't know conversations. We don't know if there's probably somebody that's going to contact either one of them and say, hey, what do you think? Are you guys interested in getting out? Especially covered because he's a young kid that's got a really good arm.
He's going to be an interesting one because he is a Treasure Valley kid. And maybe he did enough where he showed somebody that he could get some NIL money and have a chance to start somewhere. And maybe that's his dream. And if it's not here, it's not here. But he also had a dream of playing for Boise State. And he lives in, Skyview High, local kid. And maybe he just says, I'm fine no matter what my role is. I'm not leaving Boise State. That's going to be an interesting one.
I hope that is. I hope he doesn't leave. Right? I hope he doesn't leave. But then you go back to Mad Dog and won a lot of football games. I would agree with you. The Power 4 teams, numbers, I get all that. I've seen all that stuff. I've seen all of it. But you've also seen what has to be the model for both quarterbacks, really. If you don't have a basis of a strong run game, both quarterbacks don't operate as well. That's just the way it is right now. And that's kind of been, Hank needed a good run game. Rip needed a good run game. So it's not them, it's just the whole system, quality run game. But I can't sit here and say, yeah, I'm 100% behind them if they go get the portal. It is what it is. I think you got 2 really good quarterbacks. I have actually went back and watched the high school film of the 2 kids coming in. They can flat out spin it. So,
but I think I think it'd be unfair on those kids also, Brad, to expect them to be serious contenders as true freshmen for the starting job. Somebody pointed out Kellen Moore starting as a freshman. He was a redshirt freshman. Like college football, you come in, you get a year under your belt, like both those guys. And maybe that's what Spencer Danielson's saying. Hey, we got 2 guys that a year from now, or, I guess it'd be, in 2027 are one of those guys is going to be our starter. And we're perfectly happy with that. And so we're not going to go out and, we're just going to have one more year of Maddox and Cudworth. And then we're going to go to those guys next year. But I think part of some fans are saying, Brad, hey, if you think you can do better than Madsen and he's gone in 1 year anyway, why not try to upgrade now? That's what I think some fans are saying. Like, why do you have to be super loyal, whatever, if after next year he's gone anyway? If you can find a better option, why not do it now? I don't know if that exists because what we spend earlier time talking about, NIL, money. Like Boise State, their philosophy has not been to spend money on outside additions in the portal. Boise State has chosen to spend their money on keeping the guys they have. And you can argue about whether or not that philosophy needs to change moving forward, but Spencer's philosophy has been roster retention. He'd rather pay a guy that chose here out of high school and wants to keep here than using that to go add to the roster. They don't use a lot of money on NIL on quarterback positions. So if Maddox
that's worked. It's flat out worked. I mean, look at it. You could have lost Ashton Genty, but they put the deal together. You could have lost
Cage, some of these guys.
Cage. There's another one. Cage. You could have lost him, but you had to pay him. Right? So you can't tell me those 2 years, if you said, okay, we're going to commit and you guys can just go and we'll find outside money. You weren't going to get anybody but those two, a Heisman finalist, a 6th overall pick, and a left tackle that is going to go in late first, mid second.
But I'm saying, you look at the portal additions they made. It was a kicker. I mean, a starting kicker. They found him in the portal. Great. But it was some, rotational edge players. It was a third down, third string running back. It was not impact, for the most part, starting players out of the transfer portal. As I said, it's a totally different way to build your roster. There's less players. I get it, Brad, but Boise State basketball this year has 2 starters that they paid big money to out of the portal, and they paid more money to one of the players than any player currently on the team. They gave the most money on the team to a transfer player, and he's now their leading scorer, and they're 8-3, and everybody's happy. Spencer,
totally understand that, but we're also talking about a sport in basketball where one guy can win you an entire conference title.
Sure. Right. That's what I said. It is different. And the whole deal about Madsen, and everybody wanted to complain last year, Brad, about, why didn't they, this was malpractice. Why didn't they add to the quarterback room before this year? But they had $0 available for a backup quarterback. They were not going to pay anybody else in the portal at backup quarterback, and you're not going to pay somebody in the portal more than you're paying Madsen. And I guess what I'm saying is, first of all, if Madsen's back, fans probably don't want to hear this, but he's probably one of your higher paid players on the team next year in terms of NIL money, a 2-3 year starter at quarterback. And he's going to be up there for sure. And what portal quarterback is coming in that you're willing to pay for when you only have, so much of a budget and you have other positions of need than to spend again on a quarterback, unless Madsen leaves, I guess. But I don't see them having the money and or wanting to spend money on a quarterback when you already are paying Madsen. And fans aren't going to like that, but that's why I think that's the spot they're in.
I would agree. It's like this. Okay. Are you going to go pay one player? I don't know. I don't know Boise's money situation. So I'll just make it up. So I'm going to go, okay, I can go get a dominant. I
believe it's about $5 million, close to 4 to 5. I think about $5 million is probably fair, that range for the team.
Okay, perfect. So now let's say what we need. I'm going to just use hypotheticals. I don't know, just hypotheticals. Okay. Let's say we need a corner. We need a left tackle. Okay. We want a big time pass rusher, and we want an interior defensive lineman. Let's just use that as an example. Well, a good quality corner is going to cost you over $500,000. I think they're the 3rd highest paid position group in the portal, because people that play man defense, big time schools that want to play a lot of man, are going to pay a lot of money for a corner. It's just a fact. So let's go $750 there. An elite pass rusher is going to cost you close to $1 million, because that is that important. I mean, an elite pass rusher.
Boise State ain't paying $1 million for any player in the portal.
Hell no. So now you're going to go get 2 players. You're going to get 2 players. Okay, now we're going to pay all those guys, and then all of a sudden your current guys, I'll include Mad Dog on it and go, hey, now wait a minute. You paid him, which is fine. Cool. It's going to help us win. Okay. Well, now you're going to pay me the 4. No, we're not going to pay the 4. We have to renegotiate this. I'm out of here. So you can't just go pay 2 big time players, let the roster go away. And all of a sudden you look up and you got 2 wide receivers that have left. Your quarterback is left. Your running back is left. So now what did you just do? You just decimated your entire roster for 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
That's for now. It's different if you have 22 million. That's way different. And I said it. And I know I'm going to go on a different tangent, but I think this is where it's going to be very important. It's very important to see the current NIL rosters and everything that's going to go. The haves are getting better, and the have-nots are just staying stagnant. Okay, not stagnant. Like Boise's winning conference titles. Okay, but everybody wants the Power 4 win. I get all that. But when you're willing to pay a rotational player $500,000 to get your secondary better, and he's going to be your nickel, and he's going to play 30 snaps a game, but they need him, and they're going to pay him $500,000, that's what I'm talking about. That's why this money thing is through the roof right now. If you don't have and I'll say this, if you don't have a good quality, efficient quarterback, you're going to struggle. I think some of the inconsistencies at quarterback over the course of the year, that has hurt them. I am in agreement with you. Okay. But you also got a running back coming back. I don't even know what his situation is monetarily for NIL. Don't tell me.
Riley or Gaines?
Riley, both of them. But let's go.
Riley started the year as the 4th string running back. I would assume he didn't make much NIL money at all this year.
And what did he go for this year?
That over 1,000 yards.
So you're not telling me that somebody is contacting him through DM or getting around him and saying,
he's a Southern California kid. I'm sure USC, UCLA, whoever would love to have him.
Are you interested in getting in the portal? We could pay you. So there's another situation that is.
I said that on the post-game show. Who are the 3 or 4 or 5, or where does your list stop of players you cannot afford to lose? Like if you have this much money, who are you paying to keep this year? And the list wasn't very long, Brad, which unfortunately kind of tells you the state of the talent and where you're at. If there's only 3 or 4 or 5 guys that you say you have to keep, but Dylan Riley and Cyril Gaines both. If you can get both those running backs back, I think that's a nice place to start.
Yeah, especially the kid that just went for 1,000. Right. I think here's a position that I'm interested to see what happens is linebacker.
Yes, they need to go find a linebacker in the portal.
So a linebacker. No, you don't have. I mean, you don't have to break a bank on a linebacker. Right. But I think, well, Benefield's got to make a decision. Is he going to come back or is he going to jump in the NFL?
What do you think he should do?
Come back. I
think he'll probably declare, right? And then he can still pull out.
You can, but you can also
do
go.
As much or no?
No, they don't do it as much, but he should definitely put in his name because he'll go against the committee and they're going to spit back. Okay, we think you're a 4th round pick. Okay, and I'm not saying he's that, but then he's like, no, I got to come back because I want to be a 2nd, 3rd, 1st, or possibly 1st round pick on a position group that is the most improved position group on this football team. There's no doubt. So he makes a decision. Well, now what do you got to do? You got to find a corner. You got to find a secondary guy. So, I think that's where it helps, where hopefully they're having those conversations right now and you're sealing the guys that are on your roster right now to deals. Okay. We're going to pay X this, X that, X this, X this. What's that amount to? It amounts about 2.2 million, 2.5 million. I'm just throwing that number out. Now, what do we have to play with? Okay, we've got $2 million to play with. Perfect. Okay, let's go attack. Who do we need? We need an offensive lineman. Okay, what's that going to cost? What's this going to cost? What's that going to cost?
But again, Brad, they don't – that there is going to have to be a change in philosophy of Spencer Danielson and this current regime because that's just not how they've operated. They don't say, let's go into the portal and find it. Like, maybe you tell me, I mean, if you don't have the NIL money, where are you going? JUCO? Are you going? I mean, does every player want the money, or can they find the quote, our guys? Or Spencer always says we don't need 500, we need the right 20. And there's 20 guys out there that it's not about the money, not about whatever, but you got to find a way to get some of these positions. But in the past, they have not done what Leon Rice did and paid $500,000 to go get a starting center from Georgetown. Like they don't do that.
They don't, but they've done a very good job recruiting high school. I mean, it's the highest ranked. I know it's just rankings. They have never played a snap of college football.
24/7 Sports, our parent company here, highest recruiting class in school history.
Exactly. And now it's just their rankings. Like the young men still have to play the game. I am a firm believer. All the schools, look at Colorado. Okay, my alumni. Look at Colorado. Look at what he's done. He's taken 3 high school kids and he's gone portal, and they won 3 games. So not only they win in 3 games, they're paying out the butt for a bunch of players to win 3 games. That make me puke. So there has to be a balance of getting portal, but if you do not recruit high school players, especially in develop high school players.
Oh, no doubt.
You don't know. It's like the one kid that you never would have thought jumps in the portal and go, hey, guys, we're okay. I mean, we got these freshmen, who are going to be coming off their redshirt freshman years. We think are going to play anyway. And so that's where I like it. Does there have to be a balance of some sort? Yes, I would agree with you. But I think you need to treat the portal as in the NFL free agency. You have to trigger 3 or 4 position groups that you need to go attack and get. What is that going to take? I don't have that answer because I'm not in the meetings and I don't know the money situation. Right. But something has to change a little bit to get those guys. And if you need 4 guys to go back to the way it should be to, 11 wins a year, then you're going to have to pay some players that are not on your program right now.
You're going to have to. And maybe it's 3. Maybe you say, okay, it's going to be 1 tackle, 1 linebacker, and 1 wide receiver. Or maybe you just find 3. But I just, in this day and age, Brad, I just don't know how their philosophy is going to continue to work big picture with not paying guys. And I get it. Some guys, it's not about the money. They want to come here and earn it. I understand that. But with the growing talent gap and the way that this new era is, I just think that that's not the way it's going to be moving forward. Is it easier, you think, in the portal to find the Derek Ganters of the world, a safety who had 100 tackles at Eastern Washington, to come over, or to take the former 4-star player at Nebraska that's not getting the playing time he wanted and comes down? What do you think is easier and more attainable for a Boise State, whether it's money related, whether it's talent related? What do you see in terms of using the portal that way? Do you get the group of 5 FCS lower guys that have had big numbers, or do you get the guys that haven't played as much at the bigger schools?
I've always gone into production. I want the numbers. I want the proven production, because if they took off to Nebraska, use your example, they took off to Nebraska and never played, why didn't they play? Who was in front of them? Okay, let's find out who was in front of them. Oh, Steve Smith was in front of them. I want to watch Steve Smith. Okay, and then all of a sudden you start watching Steve Smith and go, Steve Smith sucks. Okay, why isn't the kid that's in the portal, why hasn't he beaten out Steve Smith? There's got to be a reason. Now you got to do some digging. Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe the young man didn't grasp the defense or that offense very well. Or has there been some issues off the field? Does he have grade issues? How's his attitude? And those are the hard things to find out because they're in the portal for a reason, right? Some guys just jump into the portal because they want a better opportunity, or they jump into the portal because they're just not as good because the guy's an All-American and the guy behind him is really good, right? And so he's just not going to see the field. That's a different situation. But I would always want to see, okay, why isn't he on the field? Is this guy better than him on the field? Then you watch the guy on game film because they can get all the teams. And then all of a sudden you say, okay, the guy he's playing behind is not very good. So there's got to be a reason you're not on the field. So now I want to compare him to the guy who's got 100 tackles, can play zone, can play man when you need him to, things like that. I like production if it fits your dimensions. How tall do you want the kid? What's the range there? How much does he weigh? Things like that. That's where I think offensive linemen, you could go in and get somebody who's played some football, right? Maybe this is the thing is a lot of linemen get injured. Okay. Boise State's had that issue here in the past 2 years. So now you go in and go, okay, the guy who got hurt's an all-conference player. Okay. Now you watch the guy who's going to get in the portal and go, this guy's really good. He's really good. I can see the film. He's very good. He's just behind an All-American that's a junior or a sophomore. I want that guy. I've got 6 games. I've seen him. I like him. I want him. How are we going to go take off? That's what I would do. I mean, I don't want nothing against, and we'll bring it back, nothing against Malachi. Malachi was a big-time recruit, 5-star, everything you want, this and that, just didn't work out here. That was it. He didn't have a lot of film to go behind it. So no, but he's a 5-star recruit. No, I want production. I want production. I want somebody who's been underneath the lights. I want a pressure situation. And then I want to know, how does he handle adversity? I mean, I just don't, I'm just a fan of production. I can't, hoping is a high school kid. We're going to develop and we hope he's going to be really good when he gets in the weight room, things like that. If you're going portal, I want the guy proven. I want him now. That's my thing about the portal. But that's not, everybody doesn't share that view.
So I guess final thing from you. I know you got a busy day, and I appreciate you doing this.
No, you're all right.
What would your kind of big picture overview then be of just the state of this program? How much work needs to be done? Are they close with the right couple of players? Is there massive roster turnover needed? You look at next year's schedule. They play at Oregon the first game. Then they have Memphis at home in week 2. It's a tough start right out of the gate. They're going to the Pac-12, obviously. We're going to see what that looks like with the new schedule and how that's all going to work. In terms of just fans that are not, super thrilled about the 5 losses and where this program is at big picture. What's kind of your big picture state of the program? Are they close? Do they need to make some significant changes? Do you expect any staff changes? We mentioned the quarterback situation. I mean, this program, Brad, as you know, and the reasons you came to Boise State was the expectations they have here. And I know fans are spoiled a little bit, and I say that, respectfully, like they're used to winning a lot of games around here and not having, 4 or 5 loss seasons. But you go back to 2021, Brad, that's at least 4 losses in 4 of the last 5 seasons, at least 5 losses in 3 of the last 5 seasons. Not, the last 5 years that they've ever had. You probably the worst 5-year stretch in the history of this program, maybe when you look at it. And I know the Avalos era had a lot to do with it. I get it, whatever. But just big picture wise, this program moving forward, we're talking NIL, roster, coaching. Just what's your big picture take on the state of Boise State football right now?
Well, let's start with, I don't think the roster needs an overhaul. I don't. I think there's some positions that they're going to have to go attack. I'll put this, I'll just say it again. Quarterback, investigate, don't actively go after anybody. Just find out who's out there, what's it going to cost. That's number 1. Number 2, defensively, I think you're in good shape. You need a linebacker. Okay. Offensively, I think you still need a breakout wide receiver, right? O-line, you're going to have to plug in some kids that are going to have to be ready to go. Okay. So roster wise, I'm 100% fine with it. They won the conference title. Big program. I'm a firm believer in this. Take a football team, they're like a car, right? At the end of the year, it's over. Strip it down. Take everything out of that car and you evaluate everything. Okay, where are we at? How was our strength conditioning this year? How was our how did the players prepare? How you strip it down, you analyze everything. Okay. And now, okay, well, we were deficiency in some things. How are we going to change that? And then I used to get on the phone, call other coaches. Hey, we had some issues with this. Okay. What do you think? You got 5 minutes to talk about this. Guys, you're not playing, just coaches that you trust that I used to talk to and things like that and go, hey, I'm having a problem with this. It's like, what are some of your suggestions? What are some of the things you guys do? Just start taking notes. And then you find some ideas that fit in your realm of your football program that the head coach has established. I'm a firm believer in that. Strip it down, man. The players, it's over. Okay. I don't want to see any 2025 conference title t-shirts. It's over. We're going into a new conference. This is a different animal. This is like starting a program over again. New conference, strip it down, get better, and go win the next one. But I've always been a firm believer is you strip it down and you go back and you burn the film. You make individual cut-ups for every player. Every player. I used to make individual cuts for every player. Here are your strengths. Here are the weaknesses. And then in notes, put in how are we going to fix it? Not like, oh, your second step sucks. Move on. No. This is how we're going to improve this. And then here's the player's plan to get better. And then you convert that to here's my position group that must get better at these 3 things. Okay. And we need to, how would I say it? We need to get better at these 3. We need to upgrade what we already did good at. And if you can do that and you can hold all position groups accountable to that, you can get a lot better, a lot quicker.
I'm not saying who. I'm not going to ask you to call for any jobs, whatever. But do you think Spencer makes any staff changes?
No.
Because that's him? Because he doesn't think it's needed? Because
I don't think it's needed right now.
And of course, and I'm not going to, fans aren't going to love hearing that. I mean, just, that. And I'm not going to I'm not going to ask you to call for anything, but special teams haven't been great this year, and they paid a lot of money to Stacey Collins. The wide receivers have largely underachieved the last couple of years with a ton of drops. I know folks are mentioning Matt Miller. The one guy that everybody wanted to run out of town, DeMario Warren, may get a raise now with how the secondary ended up playing. And so it's funny how 1 year everything changes. But is that any kind of sometimes even just to do something, one different coach, change up some messaging, something that's not sometimes a good way to go if you need to switch things up? Or
not for me. You're going to fire a guy for a shot across the bow for the rest of the staff? You're more or less better off going in there and go, hey boys, you guys just signed new contracts. You got 1 year to prove it.
Which I think he may have done to DeMario Warren, and he backed it up.
Yeah, I don't know that conversation, but
I'm just saying there were a lot of people that thought he should have been gone last year. He gave him another year, and he flat out said publicly in the media, whatever, that position's got to be better, and it was.
Yeah, he's having one-on-one meetings with the position groups too, and go, hey, here we go. Now, the other thing is this: is like you fire a coach, you need to have an understanding of who you're going to replace him with. So what's the list of coaches? I don't know that. And then all of a sudden now you got to do the homework. Does he fit? How does he teach? How is this? How is that? You can't just fire a guy, and then all of a sudden you could get a coach that is just not as good. Now I understand that special teams, I understand all that. I truly do. But I'm just not a fan. I wouldn't fire anybody right now, but I would say, hey guys, we got a year here. We got a year, and if I don't start seeing some improvement, then we're gonna be in trouble. Now all of us are. As a head football coach, you're attached to everybody. I don't know. I don't feel that anything that needs to happen. I actually like the staff. Things can be improved on, and they will be.
Brad is bringing the heat
whatever
this
you
morning.
focus on.
Hey, someone's giving you a compliment here. Brad is bringing it this morning. Great show, Sean. We appreciate you.
Good.
Well,
I don't know.
I guess some fans, and I see what you're saying, Brad.
This.
Like, you don't make a change just to make a change. But I do think that whether it's a big roster change, a big coaching change, like I think fans say if you're just running it back with the same group, right or wrong, it looks like you're okay with losing 5 games. Like,
no, because also you don't understand, and nor does any fan understand what changes do they make through the preparation of the week after investigating the season. Okay, what did DeMario do different this year than he did last year? Those are changes too. I mean, like everything after a loss, like when I was with a lot of the coaches, the head coaches, we changed everything. We changed the game plan, the way we're gonna show the players something different. Something's got to be changed. We just lost, so that didn't work. So we're gonna change something within that realm, right? So you don't know the preparation changes or the way they think you're going to do things in the building changes could help too. Secondary, what did he make changes? Did he change the way he did meetings? Did he change the way he did this? Did he change this? And I don't know that. But whatever he did, it worked. And it worked after what? Game 3?
Mm-hmm.
So just because we don't see there's changes within a program when they stripped it down. And there's changes that I'll never know, you'll never know, but sometimes that kind of change works, especially for the older players. If you have an older position group, you have to make changes or they get bored. Period. They get bored.
I should mention Jaden Mickey. He's been a pretty impactful player. Part of that was when Devon Banks got kicked off the team, but Jaden Mickey coming in from Notre Dame is a starter in the secondary at nickel, has played pretty well this year. I shouldn't say they didn't bring in any kind of impact starting players in the portal. That's not probably fair to Jaden Mickey, but for the most part, they've brought in, I would say, complementary pieces, Brad, in the portal.
Yeah. He's a good example. They didn't have to pay much for him.
Yeah.
He's got it's like it's turning stones over, man. It's hard.
So to wrap it up, you're like for the great viewership we have here, great viewership plus 200 plus just on YouTube, over 1,000 people across our channels, and we appreciate everybody that's watching this. To wrap it up, you would say It sounds like you're saying just stick with the process, make some internal changes, but you don't need to blow this thing up and go crazy, and you think they're close.
Yeah. You're blowing. I mean, I get it. It's Boise. I get it. 5 losses doesn't cut it. Everybody knows that. If you're driving down Broadway, everybody knows that. That's why you come here. But after the season they just had, you don't put dynamite to a building. You just got to strip it down, and you got to investigate and say, what went wrong? What went wrong? Take the top scoring games we've had, compare them to the 7-point games. What the hell is the difference? What went wrong? Something happened, right? It was the players. Did they just not execute? Right? Did they have more mental mistakes? Okay, why did they have more mental mistakes? It's just that's what I mean by strip it down. If you strip it down, you could find some things. And this is the time to do it. In the process of stripping it down, you're also going to find out what are the glaring problems we have. Is that, can you solve that within the portal? Or if you can't, well, then we got to have a harder discussion.
No doubt.
So that's my feeling on it. I don't, because when you hit the panic button and you blow something up, okay, Tennessee Titans are a great example. They panicked. They hit the explode button. They fired Vrabel. Now he could be winning a Super Bowl in New England. Sometimes blowing it up is not always the answer. It's investigating and making educated decisions after stripping it down.
Well, great insight. Appreciate you for your time. We're going to take next week off of BNN for the holidays. But when we get back after the following week, the 28th or whatever it is, I do want to kind of dive into your thoughts on this O-line a little bit and some more of expand on some of this stuff. I think there's plenty of off-season football content to go and keep this thing going on Mondays, for the next little while, if you're cool with that, because I think there's still a ton of portal stuff to follow and individual guys, and maybe we can get our hands on some O-line tape and maybe do some film segments or something, Brad, with some of these guys like a Kyle Cox and maybe your starter next year and kind of get to know some of the guys that are still here on the roster.
It's a year-round business, isn't it? I mean, there's going to be a lot to talk about come January 22nd.
No doubt. No doubt. Appreciate your time, Brad. Great stuff. And I know you drove all the way over for the pregame show. We appreciate you and Rid for doing it. Did you take some pizzas back?
Yeah, boy, is that stuff good. Woo-hoo.
Uncle Bob's
Very
Pizza
good.
and Sun Cruisers, and you got quite the party.
I would agree. Yeah, Uncle Bob's Pizza is really good. I highly, highly recommend it. If you can go by, the wings were phenomenal too. So,
and they were packed. They didn't have an open seat in that place once game time hit.
And great people. I mean, just the whole staff there is awesome. The food's awesome. The amount of TVs are awesome. I mean, it's just a great place.
I love the arcade. You send your kids to the arcade around the corner and you leave them, and you and your friends can drink some beer and watch a game.
And it's the perfect temperature of a nice big old mug of beer.
There you go. They do have that big old one, the Slugger, I think it's called. Like, I'll take a Slugger any day of the week.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. I thank them, and yeah, stop by. It's really good. It's really, really
Thanks.
good.
Appreciate you, Brad. And take the next week off. I'm sure I'll talk to you, but have a great Christmas next week, and we'll talk to you, I think, on the 28th, whatever that Monday is, or 29th, I think it is, the following week in 2 weeks.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Have a good one.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Great stuff from Brad Bedell. Great perspective. I know he's in his car working. Really appreciate him coming on, giving great perspective on all things football. Hey, don't forget, if you came in late, we announced it earlier in the show. Another night in the Mountain West, a new show focusing on Mountain West basketball, hosted by Tom Moser. If you don't know Tom, he's been on Twitter. He's been covering the Mountain West for like 5 years, doing his own thing, his own podcast, just because he's passionate about Mountain West basketball. And I decided to hire him. Listened to his show enough, and I said, this guy is too good. He knows too much about the Mountain West. We need him on Bronco Nation News. And the thing I love about Tom is he lives on the East Coast, and he has no bias to any team. He's not a, quote, fan of one team more than the other. He's a fan of the entire Mountain West. And so you get honest opinions on the Mountain West from Tom Moser. And it's going to be every night there's a Mountain West game. So the first game is Wednesday night in the Mountain West, San Diego State and Air Force. He's going to fire up the show when the game ends. We're hoping to get some players, coaches on for interviews, his analysis. Jeff Grammer will pop on. I'll be on. Nathan's on. But it's going to be a Mountain West-centric show as we expand our coverage here on Bronco Nation News to expand all of the Mountain West and not just Boise State. And we're going to start a new YouTube channel for our Mountain West coverage. So we're not going to be flooding the feed, at least initially. Well, we will initially, but eventually we're going to transfer all of our Mountain West coverage over to our new YouTube channel. And then this will move into the Pac-12, whether it's another night in the Pac-12 or whatever we call it moving forward. West Coast basketball, I don't know. But Tom is going to cover basketball for us at the Mountain West. He does a tremendous job. May even try to get him out for the first time to the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas if we can make that happen. And really excited to get Tom Moser on board on Bronco Nation News. And again, every single night there's a Mountain West basketball game. When the last game of the night ends, Tom's going to go live with Mountain West basketball coverage and discussion every night in the Mountain West. So it's going to be 3-4 nights a week. Tom's going to be on BNN, and we're talking all Mountain West basketball. So if you're a fan of the Mountain West, hopefully you'll join us. And we're hoping to bring in some other fans from around the Mountain West for a fun show a couple times a week, certainly on Saturday nights, late night, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whenever there's a Mountain West game, Tom's going to be live, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. And obviously coming off the big win for Boise State yesterday, a lot of excitement right now about the Broncos, and that means you can join for 50% off. $5 a month right now is all it costs at BroncoNationNews.com. $5 a month. You can get the yearly subscription for just $60. Take advantage of this great pre-Christmas sale here. 50% off. Boise State basketball looks like they're on the rise, but we got a ton of transfer portal news coming, coaching news maybe. We're going to be tracking it all at BroncoNationNews.com. So if you can subscribe, we'd love to have you. 50% off. Mike Prater's columns, Nathan Carroll's analysis, Chris Van Sickle's recruiting coverage, all basketball season, all transfer portal season, all spring football. This is the time, if you're a Boise State fan, you want to dive in now, and you can get it for 50% off at BroncoNationNews.com. So do that right now at BroncoNationNews.com. And as I said, if you take a picture of yourself having a Sun Cruiser, our new studio sponsor, we'll get that up on the you post it to social, yourself having a Sun Cruiser, you tag BNN, and we'll enter you in a raffle at the end of the month. It's not that hard. It takes like 30 seconds. Grab a Sun Cruiser, tag me, take a photo, say you like it, and we'll put you in a drawing to win a Sun Cruiser prize pack or some cool prizes at the end of the month. So appreciate everybody for watching. Great show. Thanks to Brad for his insight. We're going to go all this week. We'll have morning shows all this week, talking football and basketball, getting you set for the start of conference play on Saturday in Reno, but also kind of breaking down and putting our final thoughts on the 2025 football season. So we'll be live all this week, and then we're taking all of next week off. So we got some a family wedding in Kansas City, and we're going to St. Louis for a few days for Christmas. So we will have full coverage this week, but then we're taking all of next week off, and then we'll be back on the 29th, Monday the 29th, to get you set for the game on the 30th against New Mexico. So appreciate you guys for your support. Been a long couple of days. Had fun going down to LA and covering the LA Bowl. Yesterday was a 19-plus hour day flying from LA to Salt Lake and driving up to Idaho Falls, but that trip was worth it to be able to see that win and see that finish at the end of the game. Huge win for the Broncos. But back in Boise and excited for the next couple of days here at Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. So go subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And check out our YouTube channel, our website, our message boards. If you can't afford to subscribe, we do have a free message board where you can still get on there at BroncoNationNews.com and chat with folks. And there's been a lot of increased interest in that of late. So thank you guys. Big news coming for Bronco Nation News. We got some new sponsors and things. We're excited about the future. Can't wait for January 1st to tell you more about it, but appreciate you. Going to be a fun next couple of months tracking transfer portal, tracking football, tracking basketball. And as you know, we do it all at Bronco Nation News, online at BroncoNationNews.com. Jay Tust at 9 a.m. tomorrow, everybody. Have a good rest of your